My name is Wabashka Mistimint Ikwe Dijnakas, White Horsewoman, English, Brenda Prince, and I'm feeling excited and nervous.
We love to make you laugh. You're very, really with all the jokes we have. You're very, really funny. That's why we do what we do. You're very, really we funny. Love to make you laugh. You're very, really Vancouver, funny. We love your laugh. It's YVR Funny.
Welcome to the stage, Brenda Prince!
So, someone just recently told me I reminded them of a native Roseanne. Gee, I don't know why. So I am an urban Indigenous person, and an urban Indigenous person is an Indigenous person that lives in the urban areas. I've never lived on the reserve, but this summer I went to my reserve and I found out that the term urban Indigenous person translated to the Ojibwe language means your cousins on the res hate you. So I was born and raised in Winnipeg, and Winnipeg is another Ojibwe word that means muddy waters, I guess because natives really love the blues. And I was born in 1963, which isn't really that long ago if you're still alive. And back then, my dad really admired President John F. Kennedy. And in our house growing up, we had a picture of JFK and Jesus on the wall. And for the longest time, I thought that JFK and Jesus was the same white guy. I thought that JFK was just Jesus cleaned up and wearing a suit. Well, it's an honest mistake to make because all white people look the same, right? No. So back in the 70s, the bell would ring at 9 a.m. and we had to stand beside our desk and sing "O Canada," followed by "God Save the Queen." And then we got to sit at our desk for 5 minutes and listen to the teacher read from the Bible for 5 minutes. And the Bible reading was my favorite part because that's where I really learned stuff, like how to zone completely out, not listen to anything being said, which might explain why I thought that JFK and Jesus was the same white guy. So I hated being the only Native kid in school. I wanted to be invisible, but that was impossible. I felt like a raisin in a bowl of Rice Krispies, like brown and sweet, but doesn't really belong. And, I heard my first racist joke in grade 4. Alan, who I had a crush on, blonde hair, blue eyes. Well, at recess time, he told this horrible joke about why natives have high cheekbones. And after that, I never smiled again. And that's how I became a high fashion model. Like, who's smiling now? Alan. Facebook says that he's working at the Bank of Montreal, BMO, whose motto is, if you're brown, you're going downtown. So also, my dad used to read a lot of books about UFOs, and I really wish that like a spaceship would come and beam me up and change me into like a white person. I mean, can you imagine me as a white kid? I'd be like, "Hello, Mother, I'd like to take clarinet lessons." I was in Barcelona recently, and there were 30,000 Germans in town for a football game, and something about the German people is that they love Indigenous people because of Winnetou, and Winnetou is like a fictionalized, romanticized Indian warrior character created by Karl May, a German writer, back in the 1930s. And every German kid rooted for Winnetou, "Ich bin Winnetou," and even Hitler was a fan. So you know what that means, right? Like, you know who loves me more than the average Canadian? Nazis. So, speaking of Germans, did you hear that Heinz came out with a new product? It's called Mayo-chup. It's like half mayonnaise and half ketchup, Mayo-chup. But unfortunately for Heinz, in the Cree language, Mayo-chup translates to faced. But it's all good, because you know when the Crees come home from the bar Mayo-chup and they fry up their bologna and bannock, they can use Mayo-chup. So Heinz has reported sales of Mayo-chup have increased in Cree country, which begs the question, how much Mayo-chup could a Cree Mayo-chup if a Mayo-chup Cree could chup mayo? So in more food news, a man was recently charged with assault for throwing a hamburger at his wife's head. And that's not the funny part. His wife's name was Patty. So Patty hit Patty. Okay, that was cheesy. That was almost double cheesy. And he actually didn't hit her in the head. He hit her between the buns. So no, seriously. So if you throw a hamburger at someone's head, that's assault. So like a food fight is considered assault. Well, enough about my mom. Okay, so I am a 59-year-old grandmother of 5 amazing grandchildren. And I'm the mother of 3 adult daughters who I guess they're meh. Just kidding. No, just kidding. I love my 3 daughters, Raven, Robin, and Roadrunner. I'm just kidding. Her name is Dakota. And I couldn't think of another bird name. And swallow seemed kind of mean. And pterodactyl was too traditional. And I was going to do some dirty jokes, but my mom is here, and I don't want to get grounded. Like, you think it's embarrassing getting grounded when you're 16? Try getting grounded when you're 59. It really frustrates me. I'm like, geez, Mom, all the other comedians are doing it. Oh, this is so unfair. It's really frustrating, and there's lots of things that frustrate me, and I actually wrote a list. So here goes. Winnipeg winters and wet woolen mittens. Colonization by the Great Britons. People who balk when the fat lady sings. These are a few of my frustrating things. Really slow walkers and public canoodles. Canada stealing the whole kit and caboodle. Trudeau's fat lies and whatever he sings. These are a few of my frustrating things. Paying too much for extended eyelashes. Rubbing my eyes when police spray their gases. Really loud poems read by 30-somethings. These are a few of my frustrating things. When the CERB hits, when the phone rings, when I feel up to par, I simply forget these frustrating things, and then I head to the bar. Thank you. Thank you. Well, you know, alcoholism does run in my family, and I'm often stereotyped because of my heritage. I know if you can't tell by looking at me that I'm 1/23 and 2/3 Irish. And my great-great-great-grandmother was a white princess, so that makes me 1/64 racist. No, I'm just kidding. I love you all, so thank you. graduated from Stand Up for Mental Health in 2019, and then COVID started, so I took like 2 years off, and then 2021 I started up again, so I'm going to say 3 years. I love that I can get validation from strangers. What I like least about stand-up comedy is that moment just before you go on stage and you think, oh no, I'm going to forget all my jokes. I wish the general public would understand that stand-up comedy is an art form. Some of my comedy influences are, I've been watching a lot of Jim Gaffigan lately. I love Maria Bamford, and in the old days I watched, oh, I can't remember his name. He used to play the banjo. Do you know? Oh yes, Steve Martin. When I was a child, I remember watching Bob Hope when he was doing like his USO tours, and I thought that was kind of cool and weird because, you know, it was like comedy, but they're out there like in the middle of a war zone. The first time I did stand up, it was our like pre-show before our grad show with Stand Up for Mental Health, and it was at a restaurant, and my brother was there. Like, he's passed away now, but I'll always remember that because he came out to my first ever show and watched me, and yeah, it was good. I think it was, you got to have like so many jokes per minute. So I was always trying to like be funny, like, you know, trying to time the funniness in 1 minute, and it was just kind of like strange. I would say my advice to new comedians is to get out on stage as much as possible, because you do get more comfortable on stage the more you go out. And after 3 years, I'm finally getting comfortable. So yeah, go out there, go to as many open mics as you can. My joke writing process is looking at a blank paper for a long time, trying to come up with a premise. And then I bought like some joke book exercises, and I find that helpful. And then going to watch the comedians that I like, and maybe like trying to write a joke and trying to write in their voice, but just to like animate myself more that way. I try to be in the moment, but that's really hard when you're trying to remember your jokes. And then you go back and said, oh, I could have said that. And I don't really think I've really got to being in the moment yet. Maybe that will come with more practice. Yes, I do alter my performances and sets, because if it's I know it's an all native or mostly all native crowd, I'll have my native jokes. And because I don't think some of the jokes like a mostly non-native audience would understand. Yeah. I think jokes can be done, and I think you just know intuitively, like when you get sick of looking at working on it. And I like to just finish some jokes and then just, okay, that's done. Let's move on to something else. I think the most scary thing about comedy for me is doing crowd work. Like, do I have to do crowd work? I think, yeah, or like interacting with the audience. I find that scary. So let's see what happens. What I would like to change about the comedy industry is I wish the government would take comedians seriously and provide more money for events and training or festivals, travel, hotels. What I see changing in the industry is that more Indigenous comedians are getting out there, and not just like staying in their own little bunch, but like going out to different open mics and just being one of the comedians. What I would like to see in the scene locally is more 55 plus shows because I'm over 55, so more shows like that. I think the most fun time I had at a comedy performance was when I went up to the Arctic Comedy Festival in Yellowknife. I felt like I got treated like a star. They paid for my airfare, my hotel, a fee, and I got to meet like Howie Miller and some other fantastic comedians, and I really enjoyed that. The pandemic affected my comedy by me not going out to little small clubs, and I kind of got depressed, so I watched comedians, but I didn't do any active writing or anything like that. And now I'm getting back out there, but I am being more cautious now because I don't know what's coming up, but just stay away from my drinks, don't cough over my drink. Yeah. I thought the YVR Funny show went very well. I really enjoyed myself. I had some advice that someone told me, like pretend that your safe person was beside you. So I imagined my brother beside me when I was on stage, and I got more, like I felt stronger, and I was going to make everyone laugh, and I had such a good time, and it was a really good show. Well, that was kind of a device because I found out if you use like rhymes or songs or something that, I don't know, people can relate to more, that you do get laughs or maybe applause breaks. But yeah, I will look into that. Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
We love to make you laugh with all the jokes we have. That's why we do what we do. You're why we are funny. Richmond to Surrey, Delta and Deep Cove. We love to make you laugh. We love to make you laugh. We love to make you laugh. Vancouver, we love your laugh. It's YVR Funny.